I think what you just explained is one of the issues that I have with people when they say, these people grew up in poverty. They don't have a choice. What else can they do but to rob and steal? What else could they do but to sell drugs? And actually, that pressure, to a certain extent, is felt by everybody. But we just do other things that aren't. And I don't want to necessarily just say against the law, because sometimes the law is stupid, but we do other things. We do non-assault robbery things. We do we do creative things. We make value that we exchange. And so that's what you do. And sometimes that's difficult.
Yeah.
To come up with those ideas. And sometimes it's not as difficult as people would like to make you believe. Like, because a lot of times it's just like how almost everything works. Somebody does a thing, and then 100 people or 1,000 people do the thing that they did because they saw them get money.
There you go. They're like, this is possible. Oh, I know this is possible. I'm gonna try it now. Yeah. There we go.
And so that's typically how. But the bad thing, that works in crime too. It works.
Yeah, I mean, it is a solution to a problem, and I love it when people are like, okay, this solution to the problem is something that applies to me, and I can provide value with it. This solution does not require me to hurt anyone else, and I think that is a key point that provides like some of the rules for society. When it comes to society, we have to go and grow through different levels, and it's cool to want to be at the top. But to get at the top, you have to go through certain development stages where you have to learn the rules of how this works. If you want to be a millionaire, you need to learn how to make $1. You need to learn how to be valuable enough to provide value to someone else who has the margin and the excess money to trade $1 with you, and then provide them something that's going to allow both of y'all to get what you need. And I think there's so much to that when people skip that stage and just imagine that they just get a windfall and the money just comes from somewhere, and now they just need to figure out what to do with it. I'm like, that's not how this works. That's not how value works. You have to learn what you're doing and use what you're doing well enough to have the margin to build on it, to provide more value. You're not making more of what you had, and you're not using what you have well.
Correct. I guess my only thing with that is I would love for everybody to be able to understand what you just explained, but I don't have an expectation that everybody's going to be able to understand what you just explained. And so when I see that, because the way my mind works, I'm just trying to figure out how can we simplify this for the masses, right?
Yeah.
Shrink it. The basic piece about it is you can do whatever. Let's look at it like from a legal standpoint. If the Constitution is just telling you, hey, there are only certain things that we can impose upon the people. You all told us that we could tell you these things, right? And as long as you don't transgress these things, then you're free to figure it out. However, and so those things are very important because those are the things that keep you from killing your neighbor, keep you from robbing your neighbor, keep you from, and then it doesn't even have to be a neighbor, anybody, people, treating people badly, right? But outside of that, if government doesn't intrude in your life, outside of that, you can figure out another way to create value. And the problem with that is, this is one of the bad things when government gets too intrusive. They think that they know how and when you can create value.
Right.
I never had the impression or the thought that I know what I can tell Josh what to do. You're going to do some things that I never thought about. And I'm like, oh, wow, look at that thing he did that I would have never thought of that created value. But I don't say, oh, no, Josh can create value like this and like this and like that. And other than that, we don't want to, he's got to ask us for our okay to say that he can do this. No, you're impeding the creative process. Like, all he needs to do is not cross this line, not cross that line, and leave him the hell alone.
There you go. You know there are certain rules we all need to follow to function in a society. There are certain boundaries everybody has. Every relationship has boundaries. We have to respect those boundaries if we want this relationship to work. Right. As long as they're respecting these boundaries, then we can let this relationship work where everybody gets to use their strength to help meet the needs of each person here in a way that they get to offer what they want to another person, and we can make choices about that. And those are, I think, that's where I would start. I would start with a relationship with people. I would just
Right.
like, if we can just boil it down to that and just say, hey, everything is relationships. These relationships have boundaries. Everybody has strengths. They're going to use these strengths to solve problems. And they're going to take these solutions and they're going to offer it to each other. That's how things are supposed to work. These are the rules we live by. We try to respect these things. You need to learn those rules. You need to respect those rules. And then you need to use your strength to offer these values. But you can't go up to random people and say like, hey, I see that you're solving all these problems. You're solving too many problems. I don't like it. You only solve problems. You only solve this one problem, this one way. Otherwise, we're going to tax you more. We're going to take more things. We're going to require more of you than you are going to give. And I'm like, that's now injustice. You see, that's stealing now. We've taken more from this person than they are willing to give, and that's not okay.
I mean, that falls into the altruist premise that Rand talks about. It's this idea that you have a say in somebody else's life.
Right.
It's because your job is to serve others. That's your job.
I hear you. I make that distinction. Like, this is all voluntary. It's not a anyway. Yes.
And it's so bad. And I think I would probably want to structure something if I'm going to talk about this more, because it's so bad and it's so hard to communicate the negative pieces about that. Because if you are being forced to do something and it's not of your will, like if you love somebody because it's your responsibility, you don't actually love them. You're adhering to you're capitulating to expectations. You're surrendering yourself to another, I guess, locus of control.
Control. Yeah.
And so a lot of people, the prevalent view of life is, and I mean, in a lot of good people, is that we are here to serve others. This is a good thing. This is a good way, a good principle to navigate life with, our service to others. And they couldn't be more logically wrong, right?
Right.
Because you can actually, logically, it's wrong, but I think they just are confused about what they're doing. You say what?
But morally, though, as well, like it is wrong to pretend that other people only exist for you. As long as any person only exists for another person's needs, that is morally abhorrent, and it's logically wrong. Like it's they are trying to use irrationality as a base for their logic and a base to build an argument on it. Like, it doesn't work. If this doesn't work with one person, this doesn't work with two people, this doesn't work. But also, you're actively talking about taking agency away from somebody else.
Right.
That is not okay.
And the reason why I said logically wrong, because I don't give people the credit for having a conscious stance on it. I'm just saying that this is more of a subconscious. I mean, this is what Jung talks about with the collective unconscious. It's just this sense of duty, sense of responsibility, or that thing. I don't think there are a lot of people who have tried to like do the logic behind it. I mean, maybe there are some people who are just like, they'll try to give you reasoning for self-sacrifice, what I would call it, altruism, self-sacrifice. But like you said, like once you take one person's agency, then it's a domino effect. It's just it keeps going.
But it doesn't have to go any further than that. Once you decide that the agency of another human being is forfeit, I'm like, forfeit yours. All right, the end. Like, we don't have to get other people involved. You decided to make a slave of someone else. They can make a slave of you according to your own principles, which is a terrible moral stance.
Yeah. It's treating people like children.
Yep.
That's what it really is. Because in a sense, that's the thing about a child. Like, we don't collectively, the way we acknowledge adulthood in this country, basically either 18 or emancipation or something like that.
Right.
And basically what we're saying is you haven't gotten to the point that you've developed good enough judgment that you're accountable for all of your actions.
Right.
And we are holding your parents accountable in part with you. I mean, at certain ages, because once you get like 13, 14, 15, and so on, I don't think that like if you were 8-year-old, then we're like, whoa, that's the parents' fault for the most part. So, but that's the whole point. More or less, children, we don't expect them to exhibit great judgment.
We don't. We also don't expect them to take care of themselves or others either.
Right.
And by the time you can say that you can take care of yourself effectively, we hold you responsible for your decisions. Like, it's your job it is your job now to take care of yourself and to respect the laws of society. This is what society has determined are our boundaries. Respect these boundaries, or there will be consequences. They try you like a child when you're a child. Try like adults when you reach that level of independence. But these are the things that we have agreed to as society to respect. And if you do not, then there are consequences.
I mean, in theory, right? Yes.
Right.
The bad thing that I'm seeing is, and this is a result of some of these lenient state attorneys and district attorneys. People don't actually go to jail for crimes a lot of times anymore.
I mean, anyway, there is certainly bias in our quote unquote justice system.
No, and I'm not going against your point. I got my point is more of there's no supplementary teaching through experience. Just like give you a small example. Like I guess people think psychologically, from my understanding, that there's a history of animal cruelty for kids or for people that grow up to be killers and murderers and things of that nature, because it's almost like animal cruelty is gateway drug,
right?
Gateway thing. I'm not saying that you should prosecute to set an example. I just think animal cruelty is just it's representative in a sense. It's like, here's this thing who can't protect itself, and you are exhibiting these traits. You want to damage something, harm something that can't protect itself. It could be a baby, it could be elderly person, it could be anything, right? So kind of like expanding it a little too much. But the whole idea of it is that people need consequences for their actions prior to adulthood, prior to the big crime. Hey, you committed battery. Oh no, you can go home. No, why is it a crime? Either it's not a crime or prosecuted, one or the other. Because the illogical stuff, you're just doing nothing but sending the message that there are no consequences for your actions,
or that there are only consequences if you get caught. And because of that, that presents a different incentive. I'm like, if you set up a system where only the people who obeyed you win, then the whole goal now is very different. It's like crime is no longer a problem. It's just being less subtle about it is the thing we're going to fix. It's like, well, now we're going to have less obvious crime, but that is not the intent of the law, and that should not be our outcome. But that's what we're getting now. Like, we're putting ourselves in that position. Like, hey,
you think we're getting less obvious crime? Do you think that that's the case?
I think, yes. Okay. I think that's the whole thing with deception, embezzlement, stealing, these white collar crimes.
Okay.
Crime is crime. Like yes, but we didn't see it, so it's not that bad. I'm like, I don't think that's how crime works. Nope. Whether we see it or not, the outcome is the part that makes it that bad. It's like, well, I stole from a lot of people, but these people were like nameless and faceless, so I don't feel that's that bad. So you only need a few years in prison. I'm like, that's not how this works. Their outcome was terrible. The punishment shifted. The crime was terrible. It's like, well, I don't think it's that bad because murder is worse. I'm like, murder is bad, but murder affects one person. They stole from thousands. They ruined lives and legacies for millions of citizens. Their families are never going to recover. It's like, yes, but like it wasn't because they felt bad. It wasn't because they were mean. Like, think their intent mattered. It really mattered the fact that the outcome was worse. That's actually not how the justice system works. But I'm just saying that, like, there are lots of things that society has chosen to reward, and it's very interesting how that implementation of laws gets affected.
I mean, I hear you, right? I get that part. I think it probably flies under my radar because when
People don't care about it.
For the people that I think that, like, there was I think some woman from this saying some medical device work. It's similar to CRISPR. Was that CRISPR? Yeah, but from my knowledge, they got time, like 10 years at least. But I think it's more prevalent in violent crime because I see violent crime like right there on the corner behind me. Like last week and a half ago, 4 people got shot, 2 people got killed. And it's not like out of the norm for me to see stuff like this. I mean, there's a, oh man, I gotta pull it up now, man. There is there was, I'm in DC. There was a literal gun battle. Like, it's so much stuff happening. I almost don't even want to pull it up because I could pull up 5, 10, 15 of these videos where it's just, it's like, I could show you this gun battle in DC. This happened last year. One of the things that pop out now to me that I've seen is, I don't know if you've seen this, Julio Fulio got killed. I don't know if you know, it's a rapper, young dude, right? And in Florida. I mean, like I watched the special on these dudes before, and it was crazy because in Jacksonville, they wilding. Pretty much it's gang wars in rap, and basically you kill some people and you rap about it and you make some money for rapping about killing people, actual people. And so this is the thing. I never knew it was a thing. That's crazy to me to actually be killing people and actually be singing about with their names in the song. Like, yeah, we killed this person. But there was, I guess it was some hit or somebody with some rivalry. Oh my goodness. I almost got to show you the footage because the way that they got caught on camera, it's like a movie. It's literally, they got caught by some like 8K security cam videos and a Tesla on a charger. Like the Tesla door cam caught.
Terrible.
I'm gonna have to cut this part out as I look for this because.
Right. I mean, like that's one of those and go straight to jail and we're done here. That is terrible. There should be punishment. That punishment should be swift. That is terrible. But I believe you. Crime happens. Crime happens frequently. Like the high crime areas, I think it would be really helpful
to murder the rapper as he celebrated.
Analysis of like, what is the issue here? Why is poverty being ignored in this way? And why is crime being, not saying encouraged, let's just say ineffectively controlled? There are probably good answers to this that aren't profitable. And I as soon as private prisons started popping up all over the place, I'm like, there's a long history of there being an abuse of the system. Maybe it's time to take a closer look at who's benefiting.
I mean, I think honestly, people don't understand what's at the root of crime. I think that you have a lot of naive people thinking that all we need to do is just give these people another shot or give them money. The answer is not give. Like the answer to solving poverty is not give people money. Right. That's not a self-sustaining answer, and people need self-sustaining answers. Mm-hmm. That's the point. Yeah. You could say you probably would be almost incorrect to say give them jobs, but you would be closer and better off than give them money.
Right. Like this is the teach man to fish for portion, but not just that. Create conditions where fishing is possible, and then make this. I hate it when people say that this certain community is crime riddled, and the only thing they need are people to come in and give more charity. I'm like, you misunderstand what's happening. You pretend that everyone in this to say that is to assume that everyone in this vicinity is a criminal and that crime lives in this zip code. I'm like, that is not correct. That is a irrational assumption that there is no basis in reality for. Do not say that or do that.
I mean, it's just to say that it's like every poverty-stricken neighborhood had these issues. People like to make the argument, everywhere there's crime, everywhere there's poverty, there's crime.
Right.
And this is a BS argument. It may be elevated levels of crime. I'm not sure that I've even seen. I don't think that you can make that argument. I think that people might have fudged that argument a little bit if you actually look at the numbers, but I'd be interested to see that. I'm gonna pop this up real quick because you got to see this.
Well, we have some new information tonight about the targeted gang-related killing of a rapper in Tampa back in June. Court documents now shed some new light on the investigation of 5 people who came all the way from Jacksonville to murder the rapper as he celebrated his birthday in the Tampa Bay area. Fox 15's Ariel Placencia joins us live in the newsroom with this update.
So I guess they didn't show the whole footage, but there was another cut. I don't know when I saw it, but one of those pictures that we saw was a Tesla, like I guess a door cam, like it's just sitting on the charger. He was just like, "Hey, we need some footage of that shooting," and they're like, "Oh yeah, well, just check out my car." It's like,
that's insane.
And I mean, I don't want to make this seem like that's a crazy thing. This is not like this is out of the realm of possibility. This is something to me that's kind of normal in a sense. I guess it's crazy to think of it that way, that it is normal. And maybe not so much normal, but I'm not necessarily batting an eye at it. I'm like, oh yeah, rappers singing about killing people got shot. I don't know.
Right.
But I guess the brazenness, is that the word I'm looking for? The
audacity.
Yeah.
It's just out there in the open. It's terrible.
Yeah, I mean, that is what I mean by like people. That is a result of the culture and the climate. And there may be people who are going to do that regardless of the culture or the climate, but there's nothing for them to worry about. There really isn't. When you de-incentivize police from doing their jobs by throwing them on television, telling them every time something happened, every time a situation pops up, oh, the police did this, the police did that, police did this. Right. I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised when they just like, all right, kill yourself. I'm not. We got this happening over here. All right, we'll be there. You know, and it's people. The thing to me is that's another one of those things where people don't put 2 and 2 together. Like that was the immediate thing I thought when let me preface this too. It's not that I'm saying that police don't do wrong things, because I don't even with this Sandra Massey thing. Like I think that's her name.
This.
I don't know I have no idea what I saw. Like that was crazy to me. I don't understand how that got there. But to have the reaction that we were having in 2020 and 2021, 2022, and defunding police, and every time somebody did anything, we just going to demonize police on everything and then defund them. That was ridiculous. And the people who suffered the most who are suffering the most because of that ridiculousness are people in impoverished neighborhoods and Black people and maybe Hispanics or whatever. But those are people who are suffering the most consequences of that response.
Exactly. That's the people who need it the most are the ones who are going to get it the least, who are already at the least. But the people who are going to suffer even more now are the ones who need it the most. And I think that was the saddest part about the whole defund the police movement. It's like you saw injustice, and instead of addressing the problem, you decided to attack the solution. What is wrong with you? And why are people supporting that?
Because they can't see. That's what I mean. They don't pay attention to the logic, the underlying forces. They don't ask the obvious question or the next question. What are police going to do when when they think that they're going to face criticism for doing their job?
Right.
Do you think that regardless of what people want to say, they are risking their lives in certain situations.
Right.
Do you think I want to risk my life more and think that maybe I might get brought up on charges for doing something that the actual police academy has taught me to do?
Right.
And then when I say, hey, you all taught me to do this, they say, no, we didn't tell you that. We didn't teach you that. Like, because that to me, that's literally what happened with Derek Chauvin, right? He literally did do a move that police officers actually do this move. This is
a common thing. It's not just like, oh, he made it up. This is a thing that he did. Anyway, there were lots of things that could be done or said about the way to do the move or the timing but the solution to all this was to create a better understanding of what was done and say like, hey, I would like this to be done differently in these scenarios. There are anyway, the solution was very different than just attacking the person directly. Like that was, the person is not the issue.
And even, I wouldn't say it was worse, but during that time, because I recently saw a video with Glenn Lowry and John McWhorter. And basically the topic of this video was, because they just saw new footage of George Floyd killing, whatever you want to call it, murder, whatever you want to call it. I'm not into that part. They were like, oh, we were lied to. Pretty much the whole idea was like, there was video out there that showed you different angles of everything. And I couldn't even share it on YouTube at the time. Like I would try to share it and they would say, you can't share this video. YouTube won't allow you to share this video. And they, I guess, recently saw it. And John McWhorter, he's more of a left-leaning, centrist type of person. He was like, we were lied to. We were lied to. They told us this was a killing. He's doing, if you see it from the other angle, he's doing the move that they taught him to do. And so that it's just another thing that just shows you this is the kind of craziness that we're dealing with. And I don't know if I could say it's orchestrated, but it's some weird stuff going on with it. I'll just say that.
People certainly interpreted the action differently. And for a lot of the media, it told a story they wanted to tell, and they interpreted it in that way. There were lots of things about the way this was handled that were handled poorly. It's just like, hey, this person you did not need the police for this. You did not need police to do this for this person. There were lots of things the police did to escalate the situation they didn't have to do. I'm like, there were lots of ways this could have gone differently. I'm not saying things were done perfectly, but to blow this situation up and use this as the poster situation or the issue for every single injustice in the world, I'm like, that was excessive. Clearly there was overgeneralization, and clearly they took that to a whole new level of terrible. I think there's a lot to be said for the way the media used this as a clickbait. It was very great. It was a helpful way to increase viewership by stoking the feelings of injustice people have. And so
I feel that. I'm gonna just run this real quick for you. This video, since I got it pulled up, just so you can get and maybe people can get an understanding of what I'm thinking about on this part. So I guess I just imagine living on that block and being like, yo, what is this?
Right.
I'm saying,
right. Movie. It's like, this is terrible.
This is a full out full out gun battle in the middle. I mean, once again, some people might see this and be like, oh my God, that's terrible. I've never seen anything like that. I'm not saying that I've never seen anything like this.
That is terrible. That has also happened before.
And so I'm trying to help people understand, like, these are, I wouldn't even say the last consequences. These are the consequences of not having things to live for or to pursue, goals and values, right? And not having a system that supports people identifying things to live for, goals and values.
Right. This is sad because you can't cure everything. You can't fix all things. There are reasonable precautions that could have been taken to give people guidance, direction, incentives, and disincentives. So I'm like, anyway, that's terrible.
I mean, but that it's going to be like, for me, there's the consistent development of the point that I'm trying to make. Because the reason the point is so difficult is because it's not a one-for-one relationship, right? It's not a, if you do good, this, if you do bad, that. Like we said before, I don't know the good things that you're capable of. I don't know the good things that anyone is capable of, right? So I would never take the position of social planner, or I guess they call it social plan, community plan, whatever those things, those people who think that they can plan out society. Like, it does not, there is no one for one. You have no idea of the potential of a person. When people talk about, oh, we're going to run out of jobs, we're going to run out of things to do, that's the kind of flaw that I'm saying. You don't understand that people evolve, develop, make new things, make more things. These are things that you haven't seen before. I can't bring you any data to prove this case except for we keep living and we keep doing and developing more things. You know?
Right. This has continued to happen since the beginning of time. So it's quite likely that it will continue to happen.
But I need to incentivize. It's not even that I want to incentivize. I mean, I guess that's what freedom is. Freedom is your pursuit of happiness, you know? And your ability to go out there and create something. People who need everything mapped out or spelled out to them just can't grasp that world. They can't grasp the idea that if you leave these people alone, they can do something better than you ever imagined. Just let them go do something.
They can do more than what you think. And I think that's because there is a possibility of benefits happening. It's great to watch and see that. But because that we have a society that values freedom, then I'm like, we have to respect these boundaries to see what these people are going to do with this freedom. We said that we respect their autonomy, right? All right, then. Stop impeding on their autonomy. Let them have it. And if there's like, I want to fix crime, I'm like, I don't know. There's no fix for this. There's no one-to-one like you're saying. But there are things we can do to make it more unlikely that crime happens and more likely that the thing that we want to see happen. We can go and actively inject capital into this community by investing in the people in this community. And the people will make whatever they want happen in this community. And that's great.
Right.
And while they're doing it, we should make sure they are safe from the people who would stop them. And, and let's not become the people who would stop them. Stop putting obstacles in their way.
Because it's fundamentally the government's job. That is.
Thank you.
You have really one job. That is your job.
That is it. Yes, exactly.
I don't need you telling me who should win, who should lose. I don't need you telling me that we need to invest in this and no. We can handle that. Just protect us. Just protect us and let us do our thing.
Right. Here is money. Please make sure I don't have to look over my shoulder every 5 seconds while I'm building, creating, and trying to get something of value out there. Yeah,
but that's why we're so upside down, because we don't grasp that at all. And that's why when I was on the interview, the guy was asking me about Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And I'm like, I have no enthusiasm for this. Don't you want this person or that one? I think this is just a push. This is not even, I have no excitement for this. Right. We're just in a barren place. Like, we have to set a foundation that can be better in 2-4 years. This is an intellectual void. we are living in an intellectual void. And intellect, and not just intellect, a philosophical void. And there's nothing out there. And our push is to try to help discover, motivate people who know better, discover in some places, influence in some places, but let's just get it going, because this is a vacuum. This is an intellectual, philosophical vacuum. That's why we have people asking crazy questions in Congress. That's why we have Google getting antitrust charges. It's like, we don't even know. We don't have no clue what we're doing. I mean, as a whole.
Shows, right. It shows that there are clearly people who have no idea what we're doing and have no motivation to change. And we aren't holding these people accountable, and we continue to let them run roughshod over all our most sacredly held ideas. And we're surprised. They're like, oh, this didn't work out great. Like, well, no, they are aiming for the wrong goal. They don't even want to solve this problem. They just want you to vote for them to give them the power to solve the problem. Both sides of the aisle. Like, when people are just like, why aren't you more excited about this election? It's like, hey, you remember the time when we thought Donald Trump was the problem, and now we have a different person? Is that problem gone away? Do we still have the same problem? Are there more problems? Are there more problems now? You see how it's not the red team or the blue team. It's It's the fact that they're clearly not interested in solving the problem, and we're clearly not interested in holding them accountable to solve our problem. So
we're incapable of doing it. That my stance is that as a whole, we're incapable of doing it. I think that's what I want to say. We don't know. I don't want to even lump myself in it. But if I look at us as a whole, people holding politicians accountable, we don't even know what the hell we're doing, because we're not even electing them to do the things that we need done.
Right.
We're electing them to do the things that they shouldn't be doing.
We're based off of popularity, and like they are promising us lots of things that they do not have the power to do.
Or that they should not. Or that they should not be promising. I'm going to spend your money like this. I'm going to spend more of your money like this.
That'll be great for me. What about the problem? Are we going to have food? I'm going to spend his money a lot. Great. Vote for me.
Oh my goodness, man. This is neither here nor there, but I just saw like some tweet or meme somebody put up. It was saying something that Kamala was like, if I become president, I'm going to do this, that, and the other. And they were like, you are actually vice president right now, so if you could do those things, why?
Here, that'd be great. We would love for you to get on that whenever you're waiting 4 years. You think maybe the next 4 months is going to make a difference? 4 more years? I don't know. I mean,
oh man, it's almost like you gotta laugh and keep from crying, but like I'm just not that type of person.
Like, come on.
Oh man, yeah, man. So, what were you saying though? Every human being, what?
Like, the biggest thing is that everybody has agency to make the choices, and they have a responsibility to make these choices. It is our responsibility to actively solve these problems, and we have the ability to do something about it. It's not magic. It's not like someone else isn't going to come along and save us and do it and whatever. Like, we have the responsibility and we have the ability to make these choices to say, this is a problem. I'm going to try to fix it within my ability to do so. When I notice that there's a societal problem, I get to tell other people in society, hey, people, I solved it for me like this. You also can solve it like this. And when we are deciding to do something, meaning our representatives, do things that are against our interests, please don't allow them to continue to do that. We can write letters, we can make other things, but we could just talk to our people who are closer to us, like our neighborhood people. We're like, hey, y'all, they're doing terrible things over there. Let's not depend on them for that. Let's just do it right here. Let's just do it right here. This is fine. There are lots of ways to help us right here. Let's start here, and then maybe other people they'll catch on, and other people will start saying, this is a model.
I mean, so what you just said to me, I think that's great, right? The funny thing about it is my focus is different. And because I'm thinking in baby steps. I think the step to me that you're saying is it's almost like more complex step than what I'm thinking about. My first step is let's establish that that is what we're doing. Let's establish that agency is what we're talking about. Let's make that a standard, right? I don't think we explicitly understand that or implicitly understand that. Like people don't. I think the assumption is that, oh, some people can make decisions, but there's these other people over here. They can't do anything for themselves. We have to make decisions for them. They just can't. My push is to say agency is the baseline.
Right.
And if you can set that foundation, then we can say, okay, we got to do things for ourselves. Because maybe they can work without one being established first, the foundation being established first. Maybe, but I think it would be much easier to lose the path if we go without that foundational understanding of, hey, here's the expectation. Your judgment is yours. Your agency is yours. This is the basic standard expectation for you.
There we go.
And so that's my focus, to just get people to take that basic fundamental step, even if it's a belief, even if it's just a belief.
Right.
Because for a lot of people, it's going to be just a belief. It's not necessarily going to be something that they really grasp intellectually or philosophically. It's just like, oh, it's just like they might take it on faith. I'm not advocating for taking it on faith. All I'm just saying is that that's going to be the end result for some people.
Yeah.
But I think that that's important. And my point is, how can you consistently go in a direction without a fundamental principle? Like, I think there are people who do amazing things on bad principles. And then that's why we find ourselves disconnected from reality in government and in business and all these different things, because they don't really understand where ground zero is. And it can go back there. It's like business having a mission statement.
Right.
If you work for a company and you need to get to ground zero, you can always think, well, what are we doing here? What is at the end of the day, whatever decision that I'm about to make, is it in line with this? Because that's how you can always get down to ground zero.
Right. Sure.
And so that, to me, we don't have that. I don't think that it's good for us. Not to say that I'm discouraging you and with your pushes. I think we need that fundamental. It's not a shift.
No, it's a shared standard. And we need to find ways to come together to say, meaning like someone needs to promote a standard and have a group of people who also agree with that standard to say, this is the thing that we need to compare or what we're doing to. How well are we doing this? How well are we achieving our goal? This is a goal that we say that we had. How well did we do that? And when we say this when we come to a larger group, we need to find the thing that we have in common and then say, this is the thing. This is the standard we're trying to live up to. This is the goal we're trying to achieve. Anybody who is not doing this is not part of our party, this push, this group. Like there are some things that are in line with all of life, all of human existence, and all of we can promote national values. Like I just think there are national standards, so we can say, hey, y'all, we're trying to keep this country together. That is a bare minimum for us to exist. It's like the existence part. This is something we're going to do. We're going to defend ourselves from outside invaders. That's not a Western idea or Eastern idea or feeling I have deep inside. This is the bare minimum to exist. So we are doing that. If you do not want to do that, you are not part of the main group. We are not, how can I put it differently? If this bare minimum requirement is not met, then we are not a country. So we are not arguing about we're not arguing about if we're doing it. The only thing we're arguing about is how.
So the struggle here is, I think that there are people who want to keep the country together, but they don't know what together is, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that keeping the country together, the country is an idea.
Yes.
And if you lose the fundamental principle at the root of America's essence, then you can keep a country together. But like if we were communists, you could call it America, but it really wouldn't be an intellectual representation of America, a philosophical representation of America. It wouldn't be. It's something different now. And so I think
we have the geography, right, but we don't have the spirit, we don't have the culture, we don't have anything that make America America.
No. But there are people that's their push. They want to unify us under another principle. And this is where I get into my protected defender mode, because I'm like, no, okay. And then you got to have leaders to be like, no, we're not going to do that. And they feel confident, indignant, brazen in that push. And if we have people like how we've looked at in government, our highest ups who don't understand capitalism, who don't understand how business pressures work, how are they supposed to understand how agency and independence work and freedom work? So I have no confidence in them understanding how all these things work. So how can they defend something that they don't even understand?
Right. It's true. There has to be a push for an organizing principle that is demonstrated with how they vote. And I think that is something that the American people have not demanded, but also don't understand. I would love to see that clearly defined with our debates, our moderators, our news people. Like, there are things that we have done consistently throughout time that demonstrate this organizing principle. And I don't see a lot of people holding people to this point. It's like, when we say freedom, we mean this. When we say capitalism, we mean this. When we say rights, this is what we mean. And we literally wrote it down so we wouldn't be confused. But apparently, no one has read this important document. So let's go back to it again.
It's not even that. That's the bad part. They wrote it down because they knew that people were dumb. That's why they wrote it down. They were like, hey, this is a living document. No, we're not going to mention all of the things here. You're supposed to get the idea that we're going for here. And now we have court justices that go back and say, hey, it didn't say anything about abortion in the Constitution. So how could that be a part of the... No. Oh my God. Did they say anything about the internet in the Constitution? No, the internet. And then you had people who were like, well, clearly the Constitution is outdated because it doesn't mention the internet. And now we have the internet. So we need an updated document to the current. And it's like, and as much as I might say speak out on religion, it's like, at least they got that part. They understood the spirit of principles. Right. At least that they knew that, yeah, we're talking about timeless things. These people, that's why they want examples for everything, because they want the clear, specific, there cannot be an internet. Now we need a whole new set of laws because it's not.
Time has moved on, and now we need to figure out how to apply it. How can we possibly know?
My God. And that's so, oh my God. And then, so the reason why I say this is because you're like, hey, they wrote this document. They don't even know how to interpret the document.
Nothing. No.
And it's not like it's one side who doesn't know how to interpret the document. You got goofballs on television talking about, oh, we might as well throw the Constitution away. What? On the left-hand side.
Right.
Then on the right-hand side, he was like, well, this document doesn't say this specifically, so all we can do is point to this and point. What are you all talking about? Right. What is going on? And these people went to the best schools.
Yes, that's true.
And this is what we got. This is out of the best schools. Oh man. I mean, my little whack education, man, look, say all that to say we're in a dangerous place. Because when you don't get principles,
dangerous place.
When you don't get principles and people don't even know how to apply principles, I mean, we're going backwards. We're going back to caveman times.
Right? I mean, it's with that level of confusion, it's hard to nail down what's a fact and what is not. And that leads to people just saying, well, then always be skeptical so we can be ready to pivot at any moment. And that's why Ayn Rand was really brilliant when she was like, in an age of skepticism, can be swayed by anybody. This is the danger that we are in. All we need is a strong person who is influential and popular to then say, this is the thing I believe, and anyone who doesn't believe like me is not part of the group, and therefore you're wrong. And that has happened, and we are in danger of that happening again.
Yes. But here's the antidote to that. You come in, you state your premises, you have conviction, and you just move like how they move. It's really not much. It's not much different because whoever has the conviction and goes forward is going to be, I don't want to say winner because it's not really like a winner, leader, right?
The leader. There you go. Yep.
And so that's just state your premises, state your case. If people don't understand it, that's fine. They may not understand it. But then you can just say, hey, I've said what I said for these reasons. I have conviction. We're moving on. We're moving on.